to the March by Gatti. This is a nice piece because of the wide contrasting dynamics and the different kinds of articulations you can do. And it's also nice because it's very tuneful. It's a fun piece to play. One of the things about any of these kinds of etudes was as they get easier, the more you have to work to separate yourself from the general pool of average players. There's going to be a lot of good players and a lot of average players, and we want to move from good to great as much as possible. And so getting the rhythm to really, and the articulation to really work for you is the best thing you can work on. So marcato articulation, same thing as the legato, one pitch, and just find the spot where you get the sound you want. Take any of the rhythms and work on it like that to get the desired articulation. For me, I'm tonguing pretty close to the tip of the teeth to get a real clear front. The tongue creates a moment of a seal so that there's separation. I'm never stopping the air, but there's just that moment where you hear clarity. Between the marcato and the staccato, I think of the staccato basically as just a lighter articulation rather than short notes or even spaced notes. Because the notes rhythmically are already very short, the triplet staccato notes, we don't need to make them shorter. If we just tongue correctly, it's going to create the space that we need. And then you have the accented, which has a little bit more front to the sound. Da, da, da. So finding the tongue placement is going to be different for the staccato than it is for the accent. There's a little more weight on the front of the accented note that the air creates. But making those distinctions moves us from being just a good player to a great player in the eyes of a judge. Okay, let's see. So, scale passages. There's a few in here with mainly the triplet rhythm, some dotted eighth note scale passages. If you can play these in tune, you're quickly moving from being a good player to a great player. One of the problems with trombone, we go from first through some varied position to fourth. First and fourth are pretty good, and even whether it's second or third, depending on the scale, are just in no man's land so much of the time. It's different. So if I'm going to play like F to E flat to D, how many times do we hear coming in is sharper than going out? Well, why not just go to E flat and third? Because we haven't practiced it. Of course, it's different than so much of the time they end up sounding the same just because of being lazy. We're not going and stopping in the right position on the way to fourth. There's a lot of opportunities for that mistake here in this piece. All these staccato passages, I sort of marked a letter B, measure 9. Twice we go from fourth through A flat to first and then back. And typically you'll hear, and you're like, okay, the A flat was sharp on the way up and I think it was close on the way down. Well, why isn't it in the same place? We go slowly. If you go slowly, you can start to get it in the right place. And it is so easy to hear that if I'm behind a screen because it's a scale. It's a major scale. You can't get away with playing this stuff out of tune and not expect people to notice it. So if you're doing it, it means we don't notice it. If I'm playing this out of tune, it's because I'm not paying attention to what's happening with the slide. And so we have to do that, which means just scales. Put the drone on, play your A flat scale. This will get better, I promise. So slowly practice the triplet passages to make sure all the notes in the same position are in the same position. All the C's in the same place. A flats, E flats, etc. So relating to the rhythm, this is another place where you can take yourself from being a good player to a great player by making a very clear distinction between the dotted eighth 16th and the triplet. It's really easy just to be lazy. That sounds fine, right? You know, sure, you can get away with that, but it's not right. And people will notice this. And the difference being like a march that moves forward in a rigid way versus being something that just kind of saunters. You know, the style is affected. You're almost better over exaggerating it and making it maybe closer to a double dot. I like to be precise, but I'd rather be more of a double dot than a triplet. If I'm going to choose two wrong ways, I want the double dotted version. Then the triplets just roll over the beat. The dotted 16ths are rigid and snappy. Day, day, today, day, today, and then the triplets roll. Triplet, triplet, day, day, today, day, triplet, triplet. And you got to be able to go back and forth. You know, if you can do that, then it's easy to move the slide and add the right pitches just fine. So practice that a lot. Sing it. When you sing it, you'll notice it. I promise. Playing, we have so much other stuff to think about. We're coordinating our air and our embouchure and the slide and everything. We forget all this important stuff that's on the page that we're supposed to remember. But when you sing it, singing is a very simple action. You'll notice it. So, since it's almost time to go, I'll just play through this.